Hello, friends! Welcome back to Pattern Time. I don't know why. It's not my normal intro, but I figured, hey, we're doing it on noon at a Monday. At noon on a Monday. Good start, Stephanie. All right. So, hello, everyone. We have a much smaller group because people have normal jobs, and I understand that. But I figured I need to get some work done. I figured there's a couple people here that also probably need to get some work done. So, let's do this thing. In case this is your first time here, my name is Stephanie Canada. Yes, just like the country. And no, I don't live there. I have the utter joy of living in Central Florida, where it's currently hot as crap. And we're all sending very good vibes over to New Orleans because very good vibes going that direction. Because please, I hope all my friends there are safe. Anyway, hello. All right, we got some people here. Oh, we got some people. All right. So a couple of you are sellers or want to start selling patterns or have, as Mr. Nick here has, a bunch on the profit pile. So let's go ahead and show you how I do it. Because in case you haven't realized, this is basically my bread and butter. Miss Lisa knows. Hi, Canada. She actually lives in Canada. She is also a very, very professional pattern seller. And so here's what we're going to do. First up, I'm going to give you the tools that I use, just pretty basic. It's not really that fancy. It's really not. But I figured in case you've never done this before, let's start from scratch. Step one, you need some vintage patterns. You don't have to quite go this old. This is from the early 1940s. She's very pretty. She's got a slightly gathered bodice section there, and she's a bust 36. So once you have acquired your vintage patterns, or in this case here, let me show you a giant stack, and this box right here, yeah, that's full of patterns. So we definitely have a little bit to get through. All right, so once you have acquired your stack of patterns, now, how do you know if they're complete? That's what we're going to do today. So to do that, the tools you will need for that, I normally print off this little page. So you can see it's got the era instructions if they're present. How many pieces should I be expecting? Is it complete so I don't have to worry about that? Or are there things missing and my finger is covering it? Or is there damage? All of that information is very important to your buyers. They want to know all of that information. So sometimes I have these all printed out. And when I'm lazy and have run out of magenta ink in my printer and have not gone to go get more, we use some Post-its, friends, and we just write it ourselves because that's what I'm going to do. So when in doubt, stack of Post-its works just as well, or torn pieces of paper. I know some people, ignore the Goodwill sticker, prefer like these peely labels. And they like print out, they have it all in a template, and that's great too. Whatever you find works for you, but if you're just getting started, Post-its are your best friend. Obviously, pens. I have my good pen, which is my Friction pen, which if you want some of them, they are in my links of every video because I love these things. And they're refillable, so you don't have to throw them away. Or if you run out of ink and you don't have a spare cartridge, just good old pen, pencil, whatever. You will never, ever use this to write on the envelope, even the erasable ones. We never, ever write on the envelopes. Because if you write on the envelopes and it's all complete and you've made little check marks, the person in the future, if they're missing a piece, they think it's complete by your check marks. Someone might have lost it in between. It's just better not to write on it at all. So that's my guaranteed do not write on it. That is what your Post-it is for. And then you might be saying, well, Stephanie, patterns are pretty fragile. So why am I putting a Post-it note on a pattern? Good question. You're not. You also want to have, oh, I only have these in. Okay, hang on. I pre-bagged some of these for ease. You want to have these. That's terribly hard to see. Okay, never mind. Let's use one with a pattern in it. There you go. So you want to have one of these. These are clear plastic, acid-free or archival sleeves. I use 3 different sizes because I actually prefer, like, this is my smallest size for the Butterick Advanced. Hollywood, Dewberry, and New York's all fit into this one. And Then there's a 6, I don't remember the size of this one. It's a really weird, like 3/8 inch thing. Again, every time I put out a video, it is in my description, and I will try and see if I can get the links while I'm working so if you guys want to go get them, you can. But then really the easiest one to get is 6 inches by 9 inches because that will fit your simplicities like this one. So that'll fit any simplicity pretty much pre-79. So pre-79, 6 by 9 inches, you're totally fine. And then when you get to McCall or McCall's, here we are, bam, like this one. These are 6.5 by 9.5. And again, these are, they're real cheap, but these only fit you up until about 79. After that, they decided to get a little funky with their envelopes and make them bigger, which is super helpful. Also, you started to get multi-line patterns, so things start to get thicker. So sometimes the newer ones don't really fit in here. And by the 90s, you definitely need to go up to like a, 7 by 10, just because they are not going to fit. But honestly, once you get to the 90s, the envelopes are in much better shape. So it's up to you. It's up to you at that point whether you want to bag them. You have to kind of feel it out and see what you think. But yes, someone said it. These are basically comic book. If you don't want to go online and order all these, go to your local comic book store, pick up the comic book backers and sleeves. That way you will have a cardboard backer and your sleeve all at the same time. I find them to be a little bit of overkill personally because I'm also one of those nerds that has 2 giant sewing pattern cabinets to store literally everything. And if I were to put them in comic book board backers, I wouldn't be able to fit them in my pattern cabinet and make my soul desperately happy. So I don't really use those until I like ship them, and then I'll put a cardboard on the back and then stack your patterns nicely. All right, let's check out some of the comments first. Did I finish all my tools? No, I did not. So last tool that you're going to need, some type of measuring thingy. Again, we're very technical. This is actually, I think, a hem gauge. It was the closest thing I had around that wasn't a yardstick, so it's what we're going with. When you are checking your patterns, if something is torn and you can't really estimate how much it's torn, you want to have this. Because like if you can tell if it's a 1/2 inch or less, who cares? I honestly, if it's a 1/2 inch or less, I always describe it as standard tears from use, so long as it's not excessive. But if it's bigger than a 1/2 inch, you want this dude. This little wiggly jiggly right here, so that you can make sure that you're measuring it so that your buyers know exactly how big of a tear either they have to fix or they have to work around. Okay, now we'll check out some comments. Yes, I will do my best to try and find at least the 6 by 9 for y'all. Okay. Hello, Renee. And yes, McCall's were absolutely the worst. Like the number of times they were like, oh, it's on this side. Oh, it's on this side. Now the envelope's this side. Oh, hey, we're going to add an S to our name. Like McCall's is the worst. And yes, ma'am, I would absolutely say so. I actually buy, what are they? 8.5 by 11 because I use them. I use the largest of mine for pattern catalogs, magazines, and my large format Vogues, which is what Miss Lisa is talking about. Oh, you're watching on your TV. You're fancy, Brian. I like it. And yes, there, Mara. Mara's the one. Mara? Oh, I'm so sorry. I probably pronounced that wrong. Yes, so that's basically the same one for comic books. So that way, if you're can't find it, don't want to go on Amazon, that's what to do. All right, let's see what else. Yeah, writing the same thing over and over gets frustrating. It does. The other nice thing that I will say about your Post-its, if you have a pattern, let's say, because like some of those Vogues have like 28, 32 pieces, you can actually write out A, B, C, D, or whatever it is on there and like check it off as you go. It is tedious. I'm not going to lie. But it's just a little tip for y'all. Okay, and we have wowzers. Slovakia. Lenka? Is that correct? Oh, again, sorry if I pronounced that wrong. I'm going to do you the solid of not attempting that last name. But hello, we're glad you're here. Oh, yay, I'm so glad I pronounced your name right. Yay, me! I really like when. Yeah, it's it's frustrating. For me, it only devalues it if it's not in pencil, because pencil I can like very gently get rid of unless the envelope is just torched. Um, but yeah, it's frustrating because I have bought lots where like people just write in red pen on the back. I'm like, no, don't do that, because you never know when people are going to lose something. Oh, I pushed the wrong button. And yes, friends, my husband is in the chat because I asked him to check for trolls, and apparently he's going to be playing the role of the troll today. Thanks, dear. Anyway, yes, I am very good at doing tedious things. if you don't like tedious things, friends, patterns may not be for you. I am a very weird bunch. Oh, Kit, absolutely. Yeah. I'm going to do my best to answer things as I'm going along. And once I get started checking things, it might be a little bit longer to in between, but absolutely. Please feel free to ask away. No, you may not. You two, stop it. I've got work to do. That's why everyone's here. Oh, we got 86 people here. Hello, friends. Middle of the day, friends. This is great. Or in Alyssa's case, is it since it's Alyssa? It is 2 a.m. Good evening. Almost morning again. I love y'all. You're the best. And I can't push buttons apparently. Here we are. I just want to say thank you all so much for joining, and yeah, let's just go ahead, and I am going to pop this over so you can sort of see what we're dealing with here. These are actually the patterns I used. Some of them are. I had to trim down my thumbnail, but I am actually doing all of the patterns that were in the thumbnail. So if you're here because you saw something you liked in the thumbnail, yes, we will be checking that today. Because I did not want to clickbait you. So this first stack we're going to go through is what was in the actual thumbnail. Hooray! Oh man, I'm doing good with names today. I'm so excited. How much value is lost on writing on the envelope? Well, it depends on what it is being written with. Pencil, not so much. So long as the envelope, like you can see here, maybe. Might have to get a little closer. Right there, it says 40s in pencil. Maybe if I angle it that way. So because it says it in pencil, I can at least erase that. Oh, autofocus is having a moment. Hello, we're down here again. Oh, I confused it. Oh boy. All right, well, we'll work on that. I will work on that. Come on, camera. I will pull this away so that you don't have to see that while I figure that out. If it is pen that is not a friction pen, then that will probably chew through the envelope, and anything beyond that, like especially pens, Sharpies, you're losing a little, absolutely. It is highly variable because some of the patterns can be worth a lot of money, and so a little bit of pen marks doesn't really bother people. But I have a Vogue special design where some kid or the person that made it drew like extra pieces on it, and yeah, I still have that because it definitely devalued it pretty much. I would say I probably lost about 15% of the value because of the pen markings. So that's that question. Funny, it wasn't spray paint, but I definitely sold a very valuable pattern with silver paint on it. No idea. It wasn't a paint pen. It was like straight up paint. I don't know why there was silver paint near that pattern, but it was. And it devalued it about 25%. But because most of the graphic was so visible and it was so highly sought after, it wasn't super bad, but I definitely lost a little bit because folks got paint on it. All right, what else? Here's another good question. Is much value lost when it's not factory folded but uncut and refolded? To a particular collector, yes. To the rest of the base, which is like 90% of the people that want these patterns, not really. I will always list if it's uncut but not factory folded. I always put that in my listing every single time because that tells the people that are buying it want to know, did the last person adjust it? Did they cut into something? Did they cut away something? Because you'd be surprised the number of times, like if you're going through patterns, you get like, it's like snow blindness, but pattern blindness. And you miss like, oh, this person didn't cut to the cutting line. They cut to the seam allowance, which are two different lines. And that's a big old pain in the you know what. So knowing that it's uncut but just refolded and it's complete doesn't take away much value at all. I'd say you might lose $2. And if it's a really desirable pattern, you lose nothing. Almost nothing. Will Sharpie bleed through a cellophane bag? I don't use Sharpies on my cellophane bag, so I don't know that answer. But I'm liable to say no, but I wouldn't write directly on it. What you do with these Post-its when you're done writing on them or a piece of paper, you tape it like this, or like here. You just smack it right on there. And it stays right there. If you wanted to, you could tape down the other side. But that keeps the pattern in good shape and it keeps all the information with the pattern that you just checked. Oh no, that's so sad. If it soaked through to the pattern, that's a real bummer. What is more valuable, the pattern? It depends on who you're talking to. If the envelope art or the pattern itself is more valuable. I find the patterns are more valuable because people don't just want the art. If you just want the art, you can go to Pinterest and get whatever scan or photo someone has taken, and you can print that off and you can use that. The interest, especially in something like this, where like there's really highly detailed sections, not necessarily the skirt's fine, but you want to make sure that the pattern itself is actually more valuable, which is why, hey, there's 100 of you now. Huzzah! Hello, everyone. If you are in the reselling business, or if you're just in the crafting business and you come across patterns and they are incomplete, while it does, I would prefer if you send them to my friend Beverly at Gasp Athenium. Go to Gasp Athenium on Facebook and find her. So that she can complete them and allow other people to make them. But if they're incomplete patterns, I understand the desire to craft with them. If they are complete factory folded big sheets, especially from like the 60s prior, please don't wrap your things in them. Please don't. Hurts my soul every time I see it. Oh boy, lots of comments. Where did I go? Off the top of my head, I want to say that stopped sometime in the 50s. Don't know exactly off the top of my head. I do know it was in all of the 30s ones that I found and most of the 40s ones. And actually, sometimes you'll find yellow tissue, blue tissue, and white tissue all in one envelope. So don't get confused, especially if you find one of those rare ones. Those are hard, because you have to figure out which pattern pieces go with which envelope. And my normal thing is, hey, if the color of the tissue doesn't match, you have the wrong pattern. That is not true for the Vogue Couturiers that they are mentioning here. Those intentionally have different colors. So just so you know. Absolutely not. No, I do not. If it is factory folded, as in it has never been touched by human hands, I leave it exactly in the same way and put it in an envelope and list it. I move on. Factory foldeds are they're so nice. So nice. They take so little time. So no, I absolutely do not. If it is factory folded, you leave it alone. Do not open it unless it looks like there's like one floater piece in there. Check the floater piece, make sure it's not from another pattern. If it's from that pattern, then yes, you do have to open it up. But if there's no sign of use whatsoever, leave it alone. I have been selling for 11 years. I have had exactly one pattern that was told, hey, so somebody just really they cut out one piece and then put it back in factory folds. So what did I do? I absolutely refunded them entirely immediately, because it's not my standard. I stand behind my word 100%. If I tell you that the pattern is factory folded and you come back to me with, hey, somebody removed this piece or you know, they cut out this one piece and then put it back and I don't see it in here. I'm refunding that buyer 100% because my word is the only thing that my customers have to trust me with. And if I can't be trusted, I shouldn't be doing this. That's just my thoughts. Hi, we got onto a really weird track. Oh my goodness. Okay, let's see. What other questions? Ah, well, there we go. Miss Alyssa said it's slightly porous and can bleed over time. So there you go. Wouldn't advise it. Oh, we got Nalo in here. Hello. Hello, Nay. If you are looking for tips beyond patterns and selling, Nalo also offers a wonderful Nadine and Lola, I believe. Two of them together, they do live streams every week. And so they do all types of topics. Unlike me, that I'm like, here's some more pattern info. Here's some more pattern info. Did you know this about patterns? I'm a one-trick pony. And then I go out and buy things just for random giggles. Okay. Sorry, guys. I'm checking the chat here real fast. Let's see if there's anything else that... Okay, here we go. Have I ever come across a multi-size pattern where the inside section had been cut to the smallest size? Oh, so many times. It's so annoying. You just have to say in your listing that the original, that the, like, okay, here we go. I found one recently that was a 12, 14, 16. Every single main body piece was cut to a 12. All the rest of them, you can make whatever size you wanted, but all the body was cut to a 12. So I just put in there, when you list that pattern, you put in the main title only the size that it is available to be cut to, not all of the ones that are available. Same way. All right, here we go. We're going to tangent into this real fast. Same way with this. So you see that right there, bust 30, size 12. This pattern right here, the person was correct. It's from the very early 50s. On the back, you're going to see size 12, 14, 16, 18, 20. This is not a multi-size pattern. This is one size and one size only. Do not list this as a multi-size pattern because you will get people that are angry and go, well, you said it went up to a bust 38 and it's only this one tiny size. That is not, these only came in one size, unless on the envelope it has multi-sizes, and this happens where it's cut to multiple lines. Yeah. Okay. Here we go. There it is. Nalo's Thrift Talk. That's what it's called. There it is. There it is. All right. Well, thank you, Miss Veronica. All right. One more question and then we'll start. I will start diving in. I have 1980s Vogue Valentino, size 26. I will never have time to size it up. Do I sell? That's up to you. Do you enjoy the artwork as it is? Valentinos from the 80s. Honestly, what I'd say, go to Etsy, go to eBay Solds, check it out, see what they're selling for. If they're selling for a price that you are happy with, give it a sell. Then just move on. If it's something that you really, really want your size, just start looking up YouTube videos. Slowly but surely. You could size it up because a size 14 in the 80s, I believe, it's either a 36 or a 38. So you would have to probably go over. I don't know what, because I don't do sizes particularly, like especially like I'm a size 18, but a vintage this. Go by your actual measurements, your actual physical body measurements, because I have great news for you, friends. They're just numbers and have nothing to do with who you are. Okay? Numbers don't mean anything. They don't. And I will skewer every single fast fashion company that keeps messing with it and be like, oh, well, now you're a size this. I don't care what size I am. I want you to put the measurements on the garments because that is how people actually know if it fits them. Or at least a better start. I mean, look at men's pants. Forever they've been waist length, period, end of story. Like, there's no, your value has nothing to do with the number on that tape measure, with the number on that package, with the number on that clothing. Nothing. So that's my tangent to all you lovely humans. Numbers mean nothing. Except your actual physical body measurements so that you can make or buy clothes that actually fit you. Okay, Kit, that, funnily enough, because of some things in some other groups that I'm in, I'm actually working on answering that question for this week's video. So hold that thought. Wait till Friday because I'm hoping to have some better answers for you. Because I am with you. I do not think that those should be sold, especially by the palm variety, aka me. And in as far as indigenous, the indigenous people of this continent, I think it. For me personally, I won't do it. I'm gonna make that a better sentence and explain it on Friday because I'm working on finding places that we can send these pieces to where with proper context we can learn from them and not make the same mistakes. So keep that question fresh. That is coming hopefully on Friday. All right. Any more questions before I go? Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Also that. Yeah. Agreed. Some people are collectors and they just want to collect them, but the patterns really are tools. They really are. All right. And Pamela, I don't. Quick answer, which is not going to be comprehensive, but quick answer is no. Because what they were copywriting were the cover art, because you can't technically copyright the pattern that you are asking other people to make for themselves. There are larger sellers that can probably explain that better, but I don't dive a whole lot into PDF and reproduction patterns for that reason. The ones that I do have are standardly like companies that are so defunct they have gone out of business 70 years ago, and I know for a fact that there is no copyright issue. So that's my quick answer to that one. All right, let's go ahead and learn how to check some patterns. Hey, look, the focus fixed itself by just ignoring it for long enough. Ain't that lovely? Woo! All right. So first thing, since I have this one right here, this is Butterick 5113. At this point, friends, you'll want to make sure that for some reason, when this broadcasts, sometimes it broadcasts in like really low, and I don't know why. You can go up to 720p on this. I'm sorry, it can't be 1080. You have to pay StreamYard for that, and I only stream once a month. So that's that. So kick your resolution up now so that you can start to see this, because this is my fancy camera. All right, here we go. So this one you can see on my little fat thing there. It says FF. That stands for factory folded, which means this came off the line in the 50s and has never been touched by human hands. And it looks like this. So you see, when you open it up, it's a nice packet. It doesn't look like there's any re-iron lines. And on the back, you've got your nice piece of instructions. Well, that word, instructions, right there in the back. You can also see how you also know it's factory folded. Check out that. Now, that is darkening from the acid leached from this paper, which also tells you it's factory folded because that paper has been sitting there for 70 years. So this right around here, unless it's super bad and you can start to see it fraying and chipping, it's not going to affect the value. Just disclose it. Just say discoloration from contact with instructions. So it's all good. Oh, hang on. Nate's got a question. We're going to do that real fast because that is what a factory folded pattern looks like. If you want a better explanation of this, I actually did opening up a factory folded pattern. I want to say last December, and I got really in detail and I showed the close-ups there. So if the resolution isn't great on this, but this is how they look. It looks like they have been folded and never used. Never used. All right. Now, Nay's question is, I have vintage 40s and 50s patterns that are just, envelopes are disintegrating. Like if you touch them, they crumble, but the inside contents are factory folded and in great condition. Advice. My advice is disclose and move on. You're not going to be able to fix those papers falling apart. And I will tell you, it will devalue them a little bit but it will not devalue them that much. I just sold, and it wasn't even factory folded. I found a vintage special design wedding gown that literally had not been on the market, at least in the last couple years. It was glorious. The instruction, it looked sort of like this one right here. See that nasty bottom right there? Except it was worse. And it wasn't factory folded. The instructions were fragile. And because it was so rare, it still sold for $125. So, hello, Canada. So, disclose and move on. And I will answer this now. Should you put tape on it? No. No, you should not. As the seller, do not try and fix it for your future buyers. Don't do it. There are so many, because pattern nerds are a special kind of nerd. They can be very particular about how they want to fix these, or maybe they don't want to fix them. I don't fix them. I think they're wonderful just as they are. And it's no big deal to me. As long as I disclose it, it's fine. Now, and I've sold patterns that were literally like, this much of the envelope was left, which is like a 3-inch square. But if it's that bad, just try and find images on the internet. You can always contact me too. Here, I will put up my email. It's going to say if you want to buy patterns, which is also true. If you want to buy patterns today, you can. If you ever have any questions about, hey, do you know what the yardage is on this? Do you have a pattern back for this? Because you can go to the Vintage Pattern Wiki and get patterns of the front or get photos of the front perfectly fine. But the backs they don't put on there, which is kind of a bummer because it would be helpful. But if you ever have a question about something like that, you can always email me, like thenorthcountry@gmail.com. If there's especially if there's a holy grail, like, oh my gosh. Now, I have not found every pattern, but if it's in my external hard drive, which is not here, it's downstairs, I'm happy to send you that image. It's no big deal. And if you need a decent front cover and you can't find it and you don't like the one on the wiki, just email me. It's fine. I have no problem with people using my cover images. I don't. I try and take very good cover images for that exact reason, because I've used my own cover images when I refined said pattern and it's missing the envelope. So like thenorthcountry@gmail.com. If you ever just have a question, can't find a pattern back, no big deal. Pop me a message. Did I see another question? What is an unprinted pattern? Okay, along with when did printing start? I believe I covered when printing started in my 1940s pattern tour. Really briefly, McCall's capitalized on the printed market. So when you are looking at like this one, you can see here, she's got printing on the edge there. That tells you all the information that is printed physically onto the tissue. So basically think like a modern pattern. Tissue, ink, has all the information. Unprinted pattern means that instead of the printing, what you're getting is notches. And those notches that are in the pattern tell you all the information you need. Now you can sort of see here, this one really big hole right here, that will have some type of corresponding hole, or in the instructions here, it will tell you what those mean. If you have more questions about this, that's like a really basic, what is an unprinted pattern? I actually broke down how to use unprinted vintage patterns in a whole video. And it has every single brand that I could get my hands on and what their notches mean. So that way, in case you find a Vogue and you don't know what those notches mean, I've got a video already there and it's in way better detail. I spent far too long on that video. Oh my goodness. I've spent far too long on that. But that is what an unprinted pattern is. As far as when they started printing on the rest of them, I want to say sometime late 40s, early 50s, pretty much by the mid 50s, everyone in the US is doing printed, except for a couple mail order companies. They kept touting that this is better, which I personally think it is, because I think it's easier, especially when you're sewing. Like if you're doing tailor's tacks, it's way easier. But I also think they were cheaping out and not wanting to buy the new equipment, if we're being honest, because they were struggling and they didn't want to buy the new equipment. So they just kept doing unprinted patterns because it's what they do. But that's just my personal speculation on that one. All right. I do not have I can't really answer that question. That's not really a thing that I do all that often. My digitalization is me and my tiny printer scanner combo at home. That's what I do. If it can't fit on that, it's not getting digitized by me. That's unless I take it to Staples, and then Staples will, but only after I trace it. They will never touch a vintage pattern. Don't take your vintage patterns to your local copy place and expect them to copy it for you. They will not touch it. It's so old, they won't do it. Oh, those are good, Nay. Those are good. Okay, my camera freaked out again. That's cute, but we'll just go ahead and get started. We'll just go ahead and start with the little pajamas that you saw first. I'm going to scoot the stack out of the way. Oh, hi 80s pattern. We're not worried about you right now. All right, so here we go. There. Hey, it focused. Excellent. All right, so this one is Butterick 3832. Always on your Post-it, you're going to write what pattern you're working on. So I just wrote, it's really hard to see, Butterick 3832 right here. I don't really need size. It doesn't bother me as far as that. You want to be very careful because as you can see with this one, as I showed you earlier, it is fragile. Fragile. And same for this. As I'm checking today, guys, if you see any that you want, know that you can absolutely email me before I list them. But because I am checking them, they will be full price. So just a heads up. When I do my unboxings and I do them unchecked, I absolutely give deals. But right now we are checking them. That's what we're doing. We're working together. All 119 of us. Hello, friends. All right. Now, the first thing that I see when I'm opening it up is I see foxing or discoloration. This doesn't super hurt the pattern. It is good to put that on your Post-it. Make sure that you notice, because what the foxing is, I'm going to pull it over to my side now so you can see, and it won't skip the autofocus. It's those weird little dots. That is foxing. As long as the pattern tissue still feels supple, when you touch it, you can still absolutely trace off of it. It's debated. Some people, if it starts to have foxing like this, they will not use the pattern. Have I used personal patterns that have foxing on them? Absolutely, I have, but that's because I'm lazy and don't trace things. So be better than me and trace out your pattern first, because for those that are buying one-off patterns, you don't have a stash of patterns to go back into and grab something similar if yours disintegrates or if yours does something weird. So trace yours first. I would advise tracing it. All right. How would I package that one? Same as I package pretty much everything else. You'd be surprised how much these envelopes can take. I mean, this pattern envelope, I can guarantee you has seen some attic. It's seen some garage. It's seen some heat, some cold. That's why it looks like this. So one trip in the postal service, it's already seen some stuff. And I don't package it any differently than I do everything else. But I package mine. Everything has a cardboard backer in the envelope. And I use compostable mailers. If a pattern is worse than this, then I will actually put it into an archival sleeve. Like if I was afraid to pick this up, I would absolutely put it in a comic book sleeve with a backer, 100%. But this one I'm still touching and I can wiggle it a little. So there's still some life in this envelope. So it's not the worst I've seen, which is sad. And here I saw something. Yeah. So age spots, foxing, discoloration on the pattern pieces, all are the same thing. Tells the buyer all the same information. Do not call it mold unless it is mold. Mold looks very different. Very different. I don't think any of these that I looked at look like they could possibly have mold. Foxing is orange. Mold is black. Mildew is like light gray. If it is light gray or black, that is mildew and mold. Mildew, you can put it in the freezer, you can put it in an ozone machine. Mold, If I'm being honest and I see it, I don't touch it. I don't do it. Once I find mold, that pattern is going to my friend over at Gas Athenium, and she is going to give it a new home, or she is going to try and do a bleach solution that I don't do. So she is in the world of preservation. I am in the world of finding patterns new homes. So I will preserve them by making them, like this lovely dress I made here. So I used a pattern, a vintage pattern, to make this dress. That's how I preserve it. She preserves the actual pieces themselves. So big difference. All right. Now we're going to go to our back. I'm going to bring it over to my side of the screen. These are all the pattern pieces you're looking for. So there should be 3, 6, 8. 8 total pattern pieces that I am looking for in this pattern. So what I do next is on my little piece of Post-it here, we do /8. That way I know that I'm looking for 8 pattern pieces. And I should have a bra top, cap sleeve, the waistband, the shorts, and the trousers, which is good. I much prefer when there are shorts and trousers, because otherwise the people are going to cut it to the shorts and then you may never be able to make the trousers again. So this is awesome. I love this. All right. As far as describing this envelope to your buyer, I would call this one very poor vintage condition. Absolutely. One sneeze and these sides are going to completely split. This bottom already is split. I would call this very poor vintage condition. Darkened, because this envelope is supposed to be white, not brown. You've got tears. You've got pencil writing on the front that I'm not going to remove because this pattern is so fragile. And you've got open edges, which is what these are. Open edges here. Okay. That is how I would describe that one. Whereas, I'll show you the contrast here. This butterick here, this I would say is actually, I would call this fair vintage condition. There is some darkening up here at the top. There's like a hole here, and there's some darkening along the edges, but most of these edges feel pretty supple. I'm going to be able to put the pattern right back in the envelope, which is how you know if it's good enough. And there's not really a whole bunch of tears. And I will erase this because it's in pencil, and I know this envelope can take it. So that is the difference. You can see here, like, the more you do this, the more you will learn. Oh, yeah, bra top. You're welcome. Do what I can. All right. Sorry, for those that didn't realize, Laurel was on here and said they had a 8-year-old boy who just heard the word bra, got all excited. All right. I'm going to check a couple questions. The humidity one. Yes. Humidity is annoying. So the humidity will affect them if you have them in a non-climate controlled space. So if you have them in a storage unit that doesn't have air conditioning, if you have them in a garage, in an attic, it will absolutely affect them a lot faster. I find that the ones that are in my house, which is where they all are, in my pattern cabinets, inside these plastics, they stay just about as well as they did when I lived in Tennessee or Minnesota. Like, they hold out pretty well. But I will show you, hopefully this one has it. I think it does. I can't tell. If you ever see pins in the pattern, like straight pins from someone who adjusted it and then tucked it away, you absolutely have to remove those. I don't care if you're in a humid environment or not. You must remove them. Because I say that, because if you send it to a humid environment, that pin has a possibility of rusting and completely destroying the pattern. So I have, in this lot, I have seen some pins, so I'm kind of hoping one of these actually has some pins so that I can show you what exactly that looks like. To international patterns are worth more than your American standard 170. I don't know if that actually makes them more valuable. I have had exactly one German pattern show up, and I still have it because it hasn't sold because I'm in the US. So I don't know. It's very possible in your specific region that they could be worth more because they're in the native language that people can just easily read. So that is absolutely possible. But as I don't have that personal experience, I don't actually know the answer. Oh, well, there you go. Hey. So there you go. So we have people who like to decipher for foreign language ones. All right. Okay, so we now know we need 8 pieces to this pattern. This is an unprinted tissue pattern. So you are looking for a couple things. The first is, do you see any type of cut lines into this pattern? How do you know if they're cut lines and they're not just the ones from the factory? Cut lines will be ragged. Seamstresses only had scissors. That little wheelie device wasn't invented until I think the late 70s, early 80s. So there was no such thing as a wheeler. Oh my gosh. What is the name of that? It's basically a round cutter. It makes lines that are really clean. But before that, it was all scissors. So they will be ragged. It looks like they will have been cut. And I will say that on this piece right here, it doesn't. It looks great. So this is piece number 4, which is going to be the back of the bra top. And I'm seeing lots of great things here. So first up, I'm seeing that there have been no real alterations. There's no pins. Cutting wheel, thank you. Rotary cutter, thank you. That's the word I was looking for. I don't use those all that often. Anyway. All right, so what I'm seeing here is good. Oh, good, and you can sort of see. Along the top here, in the shadow, do you see these small dots right up here? That is your sewing line. So that's your seam allowance on these old patterns. That's how you know. So if you don't see some type of denotation of seam allowance, you probably have a pattern that has been trimmed. How do you check that? You go to your instructions and you look up, what does the seam allowance punch look like? That's how you tell if this has been trimmed away. This has not. This is in perfect condition. And down here, you got the dart holes down here. That's harder to see because I can't get it on the shadow. There we go. Now you can see that the dart's sort of, but this is great. This is a good pattern piece. There are no tears whatsoever, which is great. So I don't have to check that. Once I start checking them, I set them apart. I no longer keep them in a stack unless they're really, really tiny pieces. So this number 4 is going to go right here at the top of my envelope, not next to the scary tape that just scared the crap out of me, thinking I was going to tape my daggone pattern. And then we're going to keep going, which probably means, so in my brain, that 5 and 6, which are the rest of the bra top, are probably folded into this. Or just 5, just kidding. She says. All right. Whee! And before someone asks, do you have to open up and look on every pattern piece? If you want top dollar, yes, you do. You can't just eyeball it. If you want that top dollar, if you want your buyer to be satisfied, you have to open up delicately every single piece and check for big tears. So what I'm seeing is no big tear, which is great. We got our number 5 right there, which is always good. You also want to make sure that you are checking for your appropriate letter and number. So on the back of that pattern envelope, it's going to tell you what number you're looking for. And so this all lines up. Because sometimes unprinted patterns, they will tuck. You'll find either a different stylization of number or, oh my goodness, here's this lettered piece. Those probably don't go with that pattern. You have to be referencing either your instruction packet, which has the layout again, or the back of the envelope to make sure that you have all your pieces that are actually supposed to be there. And that's a really good way to check and see if your pattern has been trimmed or not too. All right. So this one also looks lovely. No big tears. It's a bigger piece, so it's sort of hard to see. But there's no big tears. Nothing has been cut off. That edge matches what I'm looking at on the diagram. That edge right there. So it's all good. And then for those of you that are concerned about, well, how do I get it to go back into the envelope? You have 2 options. One, you can get it to fold back exactly the way you found it. That can be hard. This one, it's not going to be. This one's going to be pretty easy. So you can see I can kind of pop that. And these patterns have been in these envelopes a long time. They want to go back to the way they have been for 40, 50, however long they've been in that envelope. They want to take that shape again. They don't want a new shape. See, like this dude's like, no, I want to go back where I'm with my friends. And then you go like that. Now, sometimes these pieces are going to be too big to fit back in your envelope the way they've been for 40, 50 years because they got fluffy, because they're larger pieces. So now there's all these extra wrinkles. You can iron them. I actually did a little bit of a how to iron. Like it's a 60-second, real easy. And I'm going to make one of how you iron them back in to your pattern envelope. I just haven't had the chance to finish that one yet. But yes, it is. Just don't fight it. Don't fight the tissue. It wants to go back. I promise you, it wants to go back to right where it was. Hello, North Georgia. Hello. All right. These feel like pants, friends. I will tell you that especially in these 40s patterns, pants and shorts are going to be used a whole lot more often. So you definitely have to be careful. Make sure they haven't been trimmed. Make sure they don't have big tears. I'm going to focus on opening this delicately. Yeah. And good thing, as soon as I open it, I see number 7 right there, which when I go to my little check there, yep, 7 is what it's supposed to be, which means this is the correct pants pattern for this. All right. And there is number 8. Now what I have to do is I have to separate them delicately like that. And then honestly, to check for big tears on pattern pieces like this, I am going to go full screen so you can see what I do. This is what I do. I will literally take my pattern piece and I hold it up to the light. So if you don't want to undo it all the way and you're looking for tears, you will be able, you can't on my screen, I'm so sorry. But you'll be able to see straight through this and see if there's any type of lighter section or something looks ragged or you see some pins. That will tell you, nope, I have to take the time and I have to open it all the way up. So I use my light, whether it's sunlight or in this case, my big old box lights, and I actually do it that way. But I didn't see any on number, I think this is 8. Yeah, this is 8. You can see there, I had a little bit of moment. He wanted to be a little fluffy. I just convinced him that he didn't want to be. And see, I have a piece that's like, nope, I want to be fluffy. And I'm going, nope, I want you to go back the way you were. And then you got to figure out what is trying to be fluffy, which I think, yeah, right here. So there's a notch, and it was just trying to be cranky with me. So let's see if I can get it to do what I want. Yeah, there it is. And number 8, right back to the way it was for the last 40 years. We're going to lift up number 7. This is also a super handy trick if you are missing pattern pieces and you don't feel like undoing your big ones. Lift it up. If you see more numbers, more letters on these unprinted ones, you know that you unfortunately have to take it all apart. Do we have questions? Oh, no, we're just, oh, yeah. Hello, friends. Hi. Yep, this is pattern number 1. We've done lots of talking about how to get to this point before we actually start checking. All right, so we have found 4 and 5 when we found 7 and 8. So in hopefully this little packet right here, I'm looking at my instructions, I should have pieces 1, 2, 3, and number 6. And if I don't, then unfortunately it will be incomplete, which is sad, but not unsellable. I will get to that in just a second. I want to say thank y'all so much for coming to hang out with me. This is fun. I get to talk about what I do. My husband never wants to hear this. You can ask him. He's in the chat. He doesn't care. I mean, he cares, but he doesn't want to hear it all day, every day. All right. Okay, so I do see a small piece, which is good. I'm hoping for 2 small pieces, personally. Come on. Come on. You can see here, it kind of wants to hold on to it. I'm just gently convincing it that it wants to come out here with me. And this is number 6, which goes to our bra top. So I'm going to put that right in my stack with my bra top. And because we have now finished 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, we flip it over onto our larger pieces. So now we know that this stack is complete from the end up until the point where we're missing our shorts. So that's how we know where we're at. All right. I am nervous that we don't have the waistband. I could be wrong. I'm hoping I'm wrong because I would like to have the waistband because this is a super cute pattern. All right. And we have some things to show you here. Ha ha ha. There she is, hiding right in the center. There's number 3 sitting right here. And it's a little wiggly. I will probably take the time to iron this flat if it doesn't feel like doing what I want. but I don't see any tears. I don't see any reason to be concerned for it. So I might leave it as is, or I might, because little pieces like this are super easy to re-iron. But if you don't feel like it, it's really no big deal. I know folks like Vintage for Me too, the Yates, they iron every single pattern. They iron every single pattern. And I think so I talked about going to interview her, and she's going to show me how she actually does fix some of her envelopes. So we're going to go up to her at some point and actually have that discussion. But it just hasn't happened yet due to just timing yet. But that will be coming to the channel. Oh, thank you. That's actually from the Shortcuts to Sewing PDF book that I have. I loved it. The very first time I found it, it was totally blank. The second time I found the book, it had writing in it. But yeah, I totally loved that. And I was like, oh, I'm totally sending this to all of my people. And I promise, for those that have ordered recently and haven't gotten said little measurement chart, it's because I ran out of ink. I'm getting more of them, I promise. So for this one in particular, they actually made 2 different pieces. Or 4 different pieces. So there's 2 for the shorts and 2 for the pants, which for me is better. I would rather look for those pieces than I would. I'm always sad when they're like, hey, just cut it short, because you can guarantee it's been cut short and the pants are missing, like the rest of it. Like, it's almost, I would say 50 chance you're not going to have those pants pieces. So I actually prefer them like this. All right, so what I said I want to show y'all is this. So there's nothing wrong really up here. It's just a little wrinkly. No big deal. Right here in the crotchular region, we use technical terms here, it is a little torn. It's a little frayed. It's not in great shape. It's not destroyed, but it's not in great shape. But that's only on one piece, which is number 2. Number 1 actually looks perfectly fine. Like, it's a little, you can see here where it's folded weird, but it's just folded weird. There's actually no tears. So this is actually a really good shorts piece. Yeah, there's a little bit of foxing, but normally I'll tell you this, if you find 1940s shorts pieces, it's either going to be used beyond almost all recognition, or it's going to be like factory folded. There's really no in between. Like, so the fact that this has been used but isn't like dead is actually really impressive. I think I folded this wrong. How did I fold this wrong? So see, even I do it wrong sometimes. So I think I folded this wrong. I think this piece wants to be in here. Oh, yes, there it is. The piece will tell you if it doesn't want to go back. But that folds perfectly nicely. So that's number 1. So on number 2, what I'm going to tell the buyers is I am going to tell them that this piece right here, right at the crotch, but you can see like there is right here. It's sort of hard to see. There you go. Right there is the seam allowance. So only the very edge of the crotchular area on number 2 that's not even tattered. It just has small tears and darkening is how I'll describe it. Because it's not perfect, but it's also not beyond use. So then you make sure you know what pattern it is. So in this case, number 2, which is there. You can't see that. So I'm writing number 2. What did I say? Tattering and discoloration at crotch. Great. And then we have all of our pieces. So that's exciting. So I always write a big COMP and underscore it. That way for me, when I'm looking at it, I know it's complete. You can fill in your 8 of 8. I sometimes don't, honestly, because once I see the COMP, I know I'm good. Now, the last thing you want to check is the instructions. Don't overlook the instructions because yes, they're here. We know that, but we also know they be fragile. Like this is some pretty, that centerfold is dicey. It's not really easy to see here. It's much easier to see here. You can see right along the black, they are torn and sort of tattered. And like if you sneeze on it wrong, it's going to tear in half. So you just really want to make sure on this, I put right down below it, instructions, check mark, because that means I know they're there. And then what I'm going to do is write weak / torn along center. That way I know and can put it in my listing. Let me take a drink of water real fast because I'm talking a lot. I'd be good at origami. You would think so, but you would be wrong. I am not good at origami. Not at all. I'm actually quite wretched at it. I'm good with, oh, this pattern piece wants to go back the way it wants to go. Great, let's do that. But I'm not real great with like, oh, hey, make this crane thingy. For those wondering what I'm doing, I'm going to go get that link for these acid-free baggies. It just takes me a second to get there. Does anyone else have any questions now that you've seen one unprinted pattern like really thoroughly? I can do some questions right now. Hello, friends. Oh, wait, here we go. No, once you unfold it, sorry. Okay, the question is it still considered factory folded if you carefully unfold it, count it, and put it back? It's not. It's still uncut and never used, which is equally as good. But if you find a factory folded pattern, just leave it. Don't bother with it. You are expending more energy on that pattern than it is necessary, because I would say 9.7 times out of 10, my factory folded patterns are fine. And if there is a mistake, it's from the factory. And what you'll see when it's like a from the factory mistake is I've opened up some patterns where there's like, hey, there's two letter N's in here. Oh, you wanted a K too? My bad. But a lot of the times it's really no big deal. They're there. They're good. And I went to the wrong thing. Dang it. I swear, I'm getting y'all the link. I'm working on it. Oh my goodness. You are an impressive human. Brava. Yike. Okay. Any other questions while I'm hunting for that link for y'all so you can acquire yourself some sleeves, and not the kind that go on dresses. Trying to find the link. Do. Aw, yay! You got married before the world turned upside down. There's a song there, but I think I would get copyright claimed if I tried to do it. Do. We're almost there. There it is. Yeah, just so you guys know, there is a vintage pattern storage video I did. Oh goodness, how long ago was this? Very long time ago. But I at least use my microphone, so there you go. I am going to pop into the chat all 3 of my main ones that I use. They all have links to Amazon. Yes, I do get a very small commission if you were to purchase. Oh, does it not do the links? It does not like that. Okay, great. I will do them separately and see if that works. You should be able to click it because it's from me. All right, somebody test that and tell me if you can click that link or not, now that I did one by itself. But if you're going to get only one and you just want to get one and not worry about it, 6 by 9. Unless you have McCall, and then 6.5 by 9.5. When in doubt, get the biggest one and you can just put all the rest of them in there. It's no big deal. Because if you were to tape the plastic, you're not going to hurt the plastic. No big deal. For the longest time, I only worked 6.5 by 9.5. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you. And I would just tape them to fit the patterns. It's no big deal. It's not ideal on the reworkable side. So then what I will do is I will drop in the other 2 as well individually so that y'all can actually click them instead of that gobbledygook that I put in there earlier. And the last one. Here we go. This is McCall's. I will not link the ones I bought the last time of the largest sizes. I won't do it because they're actual garbage, and I need to go back and find a different brand because I don't like the ones I have right now. Yeah, they're still acid free and they're not going to hurt it, but they're clunky. They don't have the right feel for me. It drives me nuts. I'm very particular. I don't know if y'all have realized that. First one is currently unavailable. Boo. Then get the 6x9. 6x9 will work perfectly fine for advanced Vogue. You'll be fine. Okay, so now don't forget, for the 7 people that left that don't know this information, post it. Does not go on this. No. I'm actually going to hijack one of the ones that's over here because I forgot to bring up extra because I thought I was just going to check the box. Silly me. And then you slide your pattern in here. Do not use ones that have been used before like I did, like a dingus. It's not advisable. There we go. Tap, tap, tap. And then there would normally be a little peeler here. You'd peel that off and then fold it over. And now you have all of your information right there. Bam. And then if you wanted to, sometimes for some of the ones that when I do my actual printout, I'll put it down in whichever corner still shows the most of the diagram, and I will tape it along all 4 sides because then people can use that envelope over and over and over again and make little notes on it without having to destroy the pattern further. Okay, one down. Let's see if we can find one that's a little bit more harried. Oh, I'll put it to the chat. Printed or unprinted for the next one. Do you want to see another unprinted version? Or do you want to see a printed one that could possibly be messy? Debbie, for this one, no. That envelope was so fragile. I don't. That envelope, I feel like if I sneezed on it wrong, it was just going to split in 2. So that one is just easier to go envelope, tissue, instructions. That gives it the most solidity without trying to do that. Oh, you want to know what I would price that at, Pamela? Sure. Hang on a second. Because I think I have actually sold this one before. So give me a second to pop over to my website. I'm not going to share this with you guys because I don't remember how to do that. So you get to stare at my face for a second. Because no, I have not had this one, but that's okay. Let's see. 2-piece. I do have a website in case anyone is curious. It is backroomfinds.com, where I have all of my 3,000 available patterns and fabrics and some clothes. I keep saying I'm going to do zippers and I never get bothered to do them. Let's see. Does that one look pretty similar? So what I'm doing is I'm going to my website. I am looking at something that looks vaguely similar. That does not. That's much more structured. The interesting thing about these particular pajamas is this is a very highly sought after pattern. So what I'm going to do. So Andrea, for me, I don't find that it does, but I'm very used to doing it. If you are getting a pattern from me from the very first time, what I advise, I will go wide for a second and then I will hunt for that price. Take this, open it up. There is about 1.5 inches from the edge to where the pattern opening is. Fold it over on itself like that. And now you can slide it out with no problem. You're not going to stick to it. Nothing's going to harm it. So it'll be great. Jason's going to give me StreamYard lessons. I mean, I vaguely remember how to do it, but I just didn't have those tabs open because I didn't think folks would want to know that, but that was silly on me to not think that. So what I'm going to do now is when in doubt, I go to Etsy. That's what I do. Better or worse. I know some people prefer eBay solds. I don't really sell my patterns on eBay. Just a personal choice. Has nothing to do with anything. But I go to Etsy because that's where because Etsy trained people to go to Etsy to look for patterns, which I helped do because I used to only be on Etsy back when I carried around literal tubs of patterns in the back of my car as I drove cross country from opera gig to opera gig while selling patterns. That is a true story, friends. I had that car packed down to a science. Oh my. And when you go to Etsy and you type in Butterick 3832, what I am seeing is there is one from another shop that is available for $60. Did my camera just shut off? Oh no. You little buggers. What did you do? Why did you do what? Why? Okay, I don't know what happened. My camera just pooped out. I don't know why I did that. Anyway, okay, great. So, personally, I'm telling you right now, and Lisa will probably yell at me in the chat. I don't sell patterns for that much, especially if it's something like this. I do just look at the going rate. But I'll tell you right now, I would never price this pattern at $60. I try to sell patterns that are, it's not that they're affordable because I understand that paying $28 for something from the 1940s is still not necessarily affordable unless you're in a place of privilege. But I try to aim for something like this. I'll probably do 35 because it's interesting. The envelope's in meh condition. The pattern pieces are still good, and it's a bust 38. And I absolutely, and again, this is me and my pricing. I pass no judgment on anyone else. That's not what we're doing here. I'm just telling you what I do. I am a plus size sewer, and bust 38 is not a plus size, but it is in patterns. And I have seen people that skyrocket the price because it's a bust 38. I don't do that. So I will price this at $34.95 because it's in pretty good shape for a pattern that is this sought after. It's actually a pretty sought after pattern, which is why I'm still going so high. Most of the time, pajamas, like 15, 18, 20. But because this is the tie top with the shorts and the pants, and it's a bust 38, I could do $34.95. That's what I'm going to do on that one. And some folks, if you're going to scan them in, they scan them at like a 50 or 100 DPI, which is dots per inch. I like to do it at 360 because for me, 360 DPI is what gives the buyer the feel like they can actually see the product without pixelation. Oh, thank you. I try. I really do. Because I want them to be made. I do. Do I occasionally price them high because I know what they're worth? Yes. I'm not saying I don't. I just sold a $125 wedding dress pattern. But on the whole, I try to make them very affordable because I want to see what people make. Because I like to make clothes. And yes, for someone that asked, yes, I did make the dress that I'm wearing. There actually is a video on my channel where I am with Jennifer from A Vintage Vanity, and we send each other mystery packets of information or of like sewing stuff, and we made the clothes that we're wearing. So this dress you see here, whee, is a modern fabric that you can occasionally still find at Joann's. It's a little bit harder because it's a desirable fabric, but it's modern everything except the pattern. And in that video, I actually tell you which pattern it is. It's a McCall's pattern. It's a little bit harder to find. It's not a super readily available one just because of the way the notch is. Hang on, I'll move this for a second. So there's a little button here. So it's basically like a slit neckline. That's what makes it like more interesting. And if you want to see Miss Green pants, hey, it's right there because I ran out of fabric. So I had to use the Miss Green fabric from last Halloween on the undercollar because I just ran out. Okay, so another fun fact: I can throw on the other camera. It may not be as good of quality, or do you want me to hold up the printed pieces over here instead of having the pattern cam, which apparently died because it wasn't giving a direct power source? I don't understand what happened. So do you want just this angle, or should I take a second and get to the second angle, but it will be definitely lower quality because I won't be able to get that camera I think it ran out of battery. That's what happened. Let me know. Let's see. I'm going to find one from the thumbnail that, oh, that could be a good one. Anybody have thoughts on it? Otherwise, I'm just going to go with this camera. Oh, thank you. I try. I really do. Which also means I'm hunting for larger size patterns more often, but it's well worth it. That's unprinted. This is printed. Are you printed or unprinted? This angle's good. Try the second. We're currently split. I don't really care. It's just whatever's, if you guys can see. Oh, man. Stupid. All right. So currently going for just for this camera. So I'll just hold up the pieces. Okay. Can do. That, because that's definitely what's easiest. All right. I'm going to check and see if, because I kind of wanted to do this this gathered waist one. This is super cute. But I think this might be the unprinted version. Yeah, I don't know why. Sometimes that camera charges while it's working and sometimes it doesn't. I don't understand. It did it perfectly fine when I used it the other day. And then today it's like, no, I don't feel like it. Oh, okay. So we'll do simplicity. So we're going to do simplicity 4227. So you always start by writing your number on the top of your piece. You're going to check your back. And thankfully for simplicity, by this point, they're actually printing other side. It says 9 pattern pieces given. So this, I just put of 9. And this one is going to be interesting. I don't know how many of you have seen this style. This is what we call, okay, this is what I call a partially printed pattern. They call it a printed pattern on the envelope right there. Let's make it so you can see it. Printed pattern from the maker. Ma, for those that know Italian. Those that don't, that means butt in Italian. Ma means butt. And not that kind of butt, the other kind. All right. So what this means is that you are getting literally half and half. You have got the holes for the seam allowance and printing marks on it. So you can see the straight of grain is a print. The pieces, this is where we start to print on the pieces. So this is where you'll definitely know if you're missing a piece as opposed to guessing. But the seam allowance is still just marked and the notches are still, oh, it's a sad little notch there, right there. The notches are just marked. And the pleat is also just a notch. So this is a weird in between. So don't be surprised if you're going to see, because there's that transition period where they kind of printed on things, but didn't always print on things. So that's what you're seeing here. And we have our very first, if this was anyone else, I would say get out your measuring tape. Because right there, that is a big old tear right next to that pleat notch. That is 1 inch and 1.25 inches of tear at the top. But when looking at the rest of it, that's the only tear I see. Okay? So that is fine. So you take a second and you write it down because you will not remember. By the time you finish checking this, you will not remember. Ask me how I know that. All right. Because I do it all the time. That's the answer there. That's the answer. Okay. Then we have next up. So they put the skirt pieces together, which is great. So you can see here, skirt front. That's excellent. Everything looks good. You got some notches here for top stitching. Very cute. But there are no tears on that letter A, which is excellent. We like that. So we now have A and B. And like I said, always take the time. Take the time when you're done looking at it to make your stack. Don't make a big, giant, fluffy pile of mess like I'm ought to do. Ask my husband. take the time and fold them in that moment, because now you've already got your notation. You just need to move on. You don't want to take all that time later on once you're done checking it and you want to go to the next one. You don't want to wait. You don't want to waste that time. Okay. So we have, what did I say? That was A and B. See, this is why you keep your everything close, friends. Keep it all close. Now, I should have C as well, which I think they used. Yep, right here. You can see C. And we got some foxing happening here, right through there. And I might get lucky enough to show you one with pins in it. And by lucky, I mean, but whatever, it's fine. All right. But they used C to hold everything else. They started printing for any other company except for McCall's in like it's like ranges from, like you can see here, what year are we in here? 40. It's probably I'm not good at exact years still. This is mid 40s. So somewhere in the mid 40s, like Simplicity filed for the patent and then so on and so forth. And it just kept the ball rolling. But McCall's did it 1909, I think is when their patent is for that. Real early. And then they held on to it like a dog with a bone. They were like, no one else can do this. This is ours. And then their patent ran out and we moved on with our lives and all got printed patterns. All right. Oh my goodness. Okay. Well, we're going to check C first, which is our final skirt piece. So let's make sure all the skirt is good. I'm not going to fully unfold this because I can tell where the foxing is. Why did what does the fox say just run through my head? That thing is such an earworm. It's so annoying. All right. But it's a little messy, but it's all right. Oh, I know one thing I should tell you. You will occasionally, if you're checking patterns that are like this is a lengthen or shorten line right there. You will occasionally find people that actually, lengthened it by cutting it in half. So make sure that when you're checking the bottom of your piece that it's as long as you think it should be, especially if that skirt comes in 2 or 3 different lengths. You need to be checking to make sure you know exactly which skirt you're checking for. Is it view A? Is it view B? This one, the skirt is 1 length, so I don't need to worry about that. But I did need to check the lengthen or shorten mark to see if anybody had cut it and then used it to make it longer. Because remember, when these were made, like, they didn't trace things. It was a modern pattern for them. They cut it and you could go to the store and get more. Nowadays, would I advise someone to cut this in half? No. I would say trace it and then cut it. Because now they're hard to find. Whereas in the 40s, you could just go to the store and get another one. It's fine. So, okay. All right. We have some interesting things here to show you. Including, oh, goody. I get to show you both of them. Great. All right. Thank you. Yeah, if y'all need to go, no big deal. Thanks y'all for joining. There's 116 still. Great. We're doing awesome here. We are about, I've got the skirt done, so now I got to check the bodice. Now, this is the blouse front for this. And this has some interesting stuff that you should know if you're trying to either use or resell them or just want to buy them and take care of them better. Right here. Whoever made this last left their straight pin, which is what I was hoping to show you. So now what I'm going to do, out, take the pins out. Why do I do this? 1, I live in Florida. This pin will rust and damage this tissue even further. 2, if you're buying a top dollar pattern from my site, from Etsy, do you want it to come with rusty stabby bits? No, you don't. No. Now, do I occasionally miss one? Yes. I'm not saying I'm perfect and I get them all every time. I try to, because I actually very early on had someone comment, be like, hey, I paid top dollar and there's still pins in this, because I didn't know. There weren't YouTube channels dedicated to vintage sewing patterns to tell people to take them out. So that's what I'm doing for you. Do your buyers a favor, do yourself a favor, take the pins out, especially if they're rusty. And don't be like me and think that you can use it on other garments if it's rusty. Just throw it away. Like, I know I don't throw things away, but the number of times I use a half rusty pin while trying to make things and I like chuck it into the trash can because I'm mad at myself for keeping it. Now, if you find a good one, keep it. But yes, also says Lisa is absolutely right. You don't want your customer to get a pin under their fingernail. Yeah, it's not good. And sometimes, oh boy, okay, we have some situation. We got a situation here. So they also shortened it here, which is no big deal. This is an old school pen. That is an old school Whopper. Like, holy mercy, that thing is like the length of one of my bones. It is yikes big. But what's nice is because it was along the length in our shorten mark right here, they didn't cut it. They were just shortening it. So that's good. So I didn't actually just separate two pieces, which sometimes does happen. But you can see on this side, we did not get so lucky because now, oh my gosh, yike. Yeah, this is a good one to show you. This is rusted out. That has rusted on the piece, which is a bummer. It's not, it will hurt the damage a little, or it will hurt the value a little. But now said rusty bits is out. And you can see there's also, not only are there rust holes right here, there's also a big ol' honkin' tear from where somebody put this away wrong or did it wrong, but there's holes here that shouldn't be here. And there's this big old tear that I can basically see you guys through. So we're going to write that all down because you have to tell your buyers what to expect. Because there's a, and some people see that and go, well, Steph, it's not usable now, right? Because it's so damaged. Absolutely not. It is still totally usable because now people will trace these, or they scan them and then print them off, or they scan them and then put them to a projector and then project onto their fabric so they don't have to do, like, there's so many other ways. So please don't, if you see something like that, you're like, oh man, that's not sellable. It is still sellable. Just disclose it. You might have to bring it down just a little as far as pricing goes, but I'm going to make all those notes here. E has a 3-inch tear. It's got rust marks and 4 small holes. What else did I see on this guy? Was that it? And this one, ain't no way it's going back. Ain't no way. It is not going back into the way it should be because it was so smushed. It looked like somebody just kind of like shoved it into the envelope. So this one I will take the time. I will iron it out and I will give it a refresh. So what you do, like if you're checking these at your desk, just kind of make a little stack or take the time and take it to the ironing board or your sewing room or wherever you do this ironing. Make sure you take it there immediately and make sure all the pieces stay together because you don't want to have done all of this work to check and make sure that it's all complete only to get it to your ironing board and then have a piece drop on the floor on the way there. So, Catherine, that is a good question. I go back and forth. Most of the time, I don't. Most of the time, I don't take those images. Could that eventually bite me in the butt? Yeah, I'm sure it could. However, most of my buyers are return buyers and they know what to expect from my listings. If it is really bad, if it's like if there is an uncut factory folded pattern and it's got holes chewed through it from some bug that died 50 years ago, but the holes are there, I do take pictures of that because that is necessary for the buyer to understand just how bad those holes are. If you say one piece has 4 small rust holes and a 3-inch tear in the middle, most people can see what that is. However, if you're selling on eBay, absolutely take those photos. Don't, because the buyer on eBay is so used to a certain way of shopping. If there's a damage, it's disclosed and it's photographed. For better for worse, my website's still pretty small. I mean, it does well for itself, but it's still pretty small. And so because of that, most of my buyers just email me if there's a big problem, which thankfully, knock on something, wood measuring stick. Okay, great. Most of the time it's not that bad. I'm sorry. Well, that's really bouncy. My bad. So if you're selling on eBay, if you're selling on Etsy, and there's that much damage, yeah, I would take a second, get your phone out, go click, and then move on with your life. But that little dude is going to go get ironed. Okay. Now for its friends, because we only have 4 pieces on this 9-piece pattern. That just had a lot to... I'm actually glad I showed that to you, because that is totally standard. Rust holes, tears, pins, all standard. It's things that you will see if you do this enough. Oh my goodness, what's happening? Okay, so I'm having issues unfolding this guy because I was trying to do it wrong. That would be why. All right, so this is the skirt belt. This is going to be D. This is in like an awkward fold, but in really good shape, so no big deal. And somebody asked, it's small, medium, large pattern, medium, cut size. I mean, it's still sellable. You just have to don't list the large measurements. Don't stop at the medium. If medium's what's available, then just stop. Stop right there. You can say that it should have come in a large, but that was cut away. That way the buyer really knows exactly what they're getting. But yeah, but it's no big deal. Like, but that's also, I mean, if I'm being 1,000% honest, that's also why I don't do a lot of 80s patterns, because I don't want to deal with that. Like, I don't want to. I just want one size. I don't want to worry about it. But that's me. I know some people are like, oh, there's money in 80s and 90s. And I know there is. I know that. I also know that's a lot of work that I don't want to do. So I just don't. I like to stay 79 and earlier if I can. I do occasionally do 80s and 90s, but no big deal. All right, we got the collar here. That is you guys can't see that. There you go. It's collar. It's in good shape. No tears, no pins, no nothing. Excellent. Good. All right, I'm looking for the blouse back because that's the one that I feel like will probably be the next toasty piece. Maybe not. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's just the blouse front that was toasty. Toasty is my way of saying like had issues. All right, so we have, hey, look, ask and ye shall receive. Here is the blouse back, which is folded awkwardly. I'm checking to make sure there's no pins before I undo this. Nope. So yeah, it was just the blouse front. That was a mess. I'm sure the noises are great. I apologize for that. I didn't realize I was just doing this next to my microphone now. So there you go. Yeah, it's a little wrinkly, but there are no tears. Nothing's wrong. Oh, goody. Hey, Ned, you want to get rid of that? That'd be great. Sorry, y'all. Oh, refreshing the page. That's great. Let's delete you. Oh, yeah, no, I don't want. Hi, bye. Go away. Go away. Go away. All right. All right. Anyway, okay. So that was what? F, E, F, G. Excellent. So we still need, let me look at my envelope here. We still need D. No, that was the skirt belt. I already found that. See, this is why sometimes you have to write it down, but I had a spammer, so my bad. A, B, C, D, we found E and F. So we need H for the collar and K, because we already found G section of collar. All right. But I've got a little packet here, so I'm still in good hopes that this is what we do. And that we have it. And oh no. Oh no. Y'all, I don't think it has the other collar. Boo. Dang it. All right. Well, sometimes it happens. We're not done yet. We're not out of hope yet. It might still be here. But this is K. This is the sleeve. I'm only going to go this far because it looks in really great shape. I'm also not 100% sure they used it. I feel like they just probably opened it and decided not to use it. I think the thing that they used was that blouse front and the skirt. And I think that's all they used for this one. All right. So at this point, I'm going to make a note because I've gone through all of my pattern pieces and there was nothing hidden anywhere. So at this point, I'm just going to note missing H, but I'm not giving up hope yet because Small child is at lay school, although small dog, that is optional. Yeah. So now, sometimes it's hidden in the instruction packet. So don't give up hope yet. Your pattern piece could still be hidden in here. Because for some reason, like people would tuck like the 2 pieces they use in the instructions. So I'm still hopeful that we still have a complete pattern. And it's normally in there and it's not there. Nope. No pattern piece. Wah, wah. All right. Well. Okay. Last chance is going to be checking the envelope again, because again, sometimes small pieces get shoved and fall all the way to the bottom of the envelope. Like that. Look at that. All right. 4227. That's the correct one. And letter H. Awesome. This one's really, so when you get these pieces, they're really smushed. They're very, very smushed. Smushied, but looks good. It was just smushed at the bottom. That's why you don't give up hope. You don't give up hope until you actually toss the envelope. Like really make sure that you have all those pieces. And then also make sure that you scrabble out that note. So don't make sure you get rid of that note. All right. And then of course, always check your instructions again. This one's actually in really good shape. There's no, like there's damage that's like seriously minuscule. That level of damage I don't even note. Let me see. That's just ink. What I saw, so you guys know, that right there, it's not mold. That's ink. It's just old ink from the printer press, the wheels. No need to disclose anything about that. I now have a floofy mess over here of pattern pieces. So I will carefully set my instructions on top. Where's my sleevey for that one? I don't know where it is. So here we are. I'm going to put that right with it. I'm going to stick my sleeve. All that information went right on the sleeve. And that will be that one. All right. Oh, goodness. I've been going for a long time. All right. Well, friends, I thought I would be more like just hang out and check things. And instead, I just decided to talk the entire time. So I hope this was helpful for you. I expected to get way more done, but that's okay. I am glad that I was here to show you guys exactly what I look for. And so at the end of the day, if you have vintage patterns and you want to sell vintage patterns, you can go through and find factory folded patterns and just list those, move on, and just keep going. And that's totally fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But once you get back into the 40s and 50s and 30s, you're going to have to pretty much guarantee that you need to check these. So when in doubt, you can always come back and check this live stream. I have no music on the background, so it's not going to get copyright claimed for anything. So feel free to come check. But yeah, any last questions? We don't have to go get my tiny human yet. So if anyone has questions, now is a good time to ask. I'm going to take a sip of water. I'm so glad that y'all joined me today at noon on a Monday. So I hope I gave you the drive to go check those patterns, to list them, to do whatever you need. Oh, yay. Look I taught Lisa something. Hot diggity. She's I sort of consider Lisa my counterpart in actually Canada, because she does lots of patterns. So I'm glad I could help. I'm so glad that everyone learned lots of things. That's great. I want you all to succeed. And I also want the buyers that you are sourcing patterns for to know that you actually know what you're talking about. Because now that the pattern market is much larger, you have to be more specific. Back when I started, oh my goodness, I was such a noob. I had no idea what I was doing. But you have to know, you have to check. Unless you're just okay with possibly having to do lots of returns, which I don't really like to do unless I have actually screwed up. Oh, somebody asked about my pin. Where was it? Someone asked. Oh, yes. Yes. So it's the pre-sales have closed, but It's my vintage sewist pin, my very first delve into merch. The pre-sale actually has closed for it. And because it was between myself and another very small or a small artist here in Orlando, who she has her own line of stuff that she's launching for Halloween. We decided to do basically like pre-sale only, and then I might be able to buy a couple extra to like launch closer to Christmas, or have a couple just to do more giveaways. If you go back and watch the last video, you can still get into the giveaway, but you do sort of have to make it through the video, because I'm like that. I'm so glad that you're afraid of unprinted patterns. Don't be afraid of them. They're great. I love them. Oh, sure. Thank you, husband. If you want to see more of my face, I do lots of vintage pattern things and sewing things and talking things and thrifting things. You can like this video and subscribe. Ned tells you to share it around with people because, well, maybe not this one, maybe one where I'm a bit more put together and have makeup on. But the goal is to make enough from the channel to actually buy me an editing computer, because he's a little sick of the offer that he set out to let me borrow his computer every time I do a new video. So I abscond his computer for like 3 days. Yes, they sure are. You are actually on my channel, Stephanie Canada, right now through this live stream, and all of my videos are there. You can, when this is over, you can go check out my library. I've got like 100 videos, something like that. A lot. Will I post this? Oh, yeah. Oh, this goes, as soon as I hit end, it immediately posts to my Facebook, my my YouTube page, and it stays there. I don't take them down, even with me humming and hawing. It's no big deal. Someone asked, when you're ironing, yes, polyester or low. Polyester or low. That's in my little 60-second short too. But yes, 60 seconds or always low or polyester. I don't want to talk about it right now. I haven't started it. Let's be honest. I did the black ones and they look great. I love them, but I haven't started it. I have this problem of having too many ideas. All right, well, I am now rambling. And if I had a counterpart, they would probably go, Stephanie, it's time to get off live now. But I don't, so I guess I need to do it myself. So thank you all so very much. I appreciate every single person who took the time to come and spend with me. And always feel free. I will pop my email back up real fast. If you have any questions, if you want to buy one of the patterns I checked, if you want to buy one of the other patterns that are in the box, I don't know. If you're looking for a pattern, let me know. So you can always like thenorthcountry@gmail.com. Sometimes I'm a little slower to check it, but I will do my best to get back to you. And with that, friends, I hope you all have a beautiful day. And I will see you all hopefully on Friday with a new video that is edited and not me live. Y'all are wonderful. We'll see y'all next time.